He doesn't leave when things get serious. He stays. He shows up. He says the right things. He holds your hand at the hospital and remembers your mother's birthday and laughs at the same dumb inside jokes every time. He is present. And yet, there's something. A distance you can't quite locate. Not coldness, exactly. More like a door he's left slightly ajar, but never fully opens. And if you've ever asked him about children, not pushed, not pressured, just asked, the way you ask someone what they want for dinner, you know the look. The small rearrangement of his face. The answer that technically says nothing while sounding like it said everything. Someday, maybe. We have time. I just want to make sure we're ready. There are men who genuinely don't want children, and they say so, clearly, sometimes even early. This isn't about them. This is about a different kind of man entirely. The one who doesn't know what he wants, or more precisely, the one who knows exactly what he fears, and has spent years building a very convincing life around never having to face it. He doesn't talk about it, not because he's hiding it from you, because he's hiding it from himself. Here's what his Tuesday evenings sometimes look like. He's watching something on his phone, half present, and somewhere in the room is a child, a nephew, a neighbor's kid, a friend's toddler who's fallen asleep on the couch, and for just a second, he watches, quietly. Something moves across his face, soft and unguarded, and gone before anyone can name it. He would never bring it up. He might not even consciously register it happened, but something in him noticed. This is not a simple story of a man who doesn't want to grow up, though that's the version that gets told most often. It's a little more layered than that, a little more human. Some men fear fatherhood the way other people fear heights, not because they hate what's below, but because the fall feels unsurvivable. And the thing about that fear is, it doesn't usually arrive wearing its real face. It comes dressed as logic, as responsibility, as not yet. He says he wants to be financially stable first, fair, reasonable even, and then the number changes. And then there's a new condition. And you start to realize the goalpost isn't moving because of the economy. It's moving because arriving at the goal would mean the conversation is finally real. The psychologist Dan Kiley wrote about a pattern he called the Peter Pan syndrome. Not the cartoon version, but something quieter and more complicated. Men who had learned somewhere early that becoming a father meant becoming their father. And if their father was absent, or angry, or simply a man who didn't know how to be soft, then fatherhood wasn't a milestone. It was a mirror they didn't want to stand in front of. Not every man with this fear had a terrible father. Some had good fathers, and still carry it. Because sometimes the fear isn't, I'll be like him. Sometimes it's, I don't know how to be anything. This one lands quietly. That's the version no one talks about. The man who looks at a child and feels something enormous, love, maybe, or the potential of love, and then feels immediately, quietly terrified of his own capacity to carry it. Not because he's selfish, because he's not sure he knows what a good father looks like from the inside. He's only ever seen it from the outside. If any of this is landing somewhere real for you, you're not alone in it. And if these quiet explorations of the heart feel worth returning to, subscribing means you won't miss the next one. Here's the mirror moment most people won't say out loud. He's wonderful with other people's children. Genuinely. He gets on the floor with them. He does the voices. He's patient in a way that surprises even him. And afterward, someone always says, "You'd make such a great dad." And he smiles. And something in the smile is real. And something in the smile is a door closing very gently. He changes the subject soon after, always. There's a concept in attachment research called earned security. The idea, developed by researchers like Mary Main, that people who had insecure or frightening early attachments can, through reflection and relationship, develop a secure sense of self over time. They can become good parents, loving ones. The past is not a sentence, but here's what the research also shows. That process requires something. It requires the person to look, to stop moving long enough to turn toward the thing they've been orbiting for years. And some men never stop moving. He keeps busy. Not in an obvious, performative way, just there's always something. A project, a plan, a next thing. The life is full, and fullness is a very elegant way to never have to sit in silence with a question you're not ready to answer. The unexpected thing, the thing even he might not know, is that the fear is not evidence of unsuitability. It might actually be the opposite. Men who have no awareness of how fatherhood could go wrong tend not to think about it much at all. The ones who are quietly, carefully, sometimes paralyzingly afraid of it, they've thought about it. They've felt the weight of it. They understand, somewhere beneath the deflection, that this is not a small thing, that a child is not a project you optimize. That love at that scale asks something of you that you cannot prepare for. The fear, in other words, is a form of seriousness. It doesn't make the avoidance okay. It doesn't make the years of not yet easy for the person waiting on the other side of that answer. But it means something different than what it looks like from the outside. It is not indifference. It is almost the opposite of indifference. He cares so much, he can't say it. There's a behavior some of these men have that is so specific it almost feels invented, except too many people recognize it for it to be anything but real. When a pregnancy is announced, a friend, a colleague, anyone, he goes quiet for a moment before the congratulations. Not sad, not cold, just still, like something inside him briefly stopped, and then he claps the guy on the back and orders a round, and the moment is gone. But it was there. He felt something. He doesn't know what to do with it. What he needs, and this is the part that rarely gets said, is not pressure and not patience that secretly looks like waiting for him to change. What he needs is someone willing to ask the question differently. Not, do you want children? But something closer to, what are you afraid of? Not as an accusation, as a genuine door left open. Because somewhere behind the deflection and the moving goalposts and the very full, very structured life, there is a man who watched something across a room and felt it, briefly, honestly, before he turned away. He turned away, but he felt it. And that means something is still alive in there. Something that hasn't decided yet. Something that is, maybe, slowly learning that it's allowed to want things. That wanting doesn't mean you'll ruin it. That love doesn't have to look like your father's version. That you can become something your own childhood didn't show you. You don't have to have had it modeled to be able to offer it. That's the thing fear sometimes forgets. If you're the person who loves him, this is not your fault, and it may not be permanent. And if you are him, this isn't a condemnation. It's just someone finally putting words to the thing you've been carrying quietly. You're not broken for being afraid of something that matters this much. Maybe that's the beginning of something.